With the Black Ops 6 DLC season coming to a close, I figured now was a good time to make a video ranking every single Call of Duty Zombies map ever released. As a player, I greatly value story and Easter eggs the most, but all things about the maps will be considered as I have played each and every single one of them. I have played COD Zombies literally since World at War, and this mode is often something that's very special, but sometimes it's not so much. For example, coming in dead last is the Tortured Path from World War II Zombies. Playing the Tortured Path is the equivalent of experiencing real-life torture. Okay, no, seriously, for those of you who don't know, the Tortured Path isn't really a map, it's 3 maps in a separate round-based, objective-based hybrid game mode that honestly is really not fun. As the rounds progress, you unlock more things that you can purchase, and every few rounds there will be an objective you need to complete until you get to round 10, where if you successfully complete it, you win the game on that map. You start with the first chapter, Into the Storm, and in order to play the other 2 maps, you have to beat the one before it first. Probably the worst part about it is that if you fail any of the objectives at all, the game literally just ends. I understand if maybe they made some kind of penalty for failing an objective, but to end the game is pretty brutal and makes the game feel like a drag. There is nothing replayable about this mode. The maps are some of the most boring COD Zombies maps I think I've ever witnessed, though they do work better in their round-based varieties, which we will get to later. And as far as wonder weapons go, it just reuses the ones from the previous maps. What a disappointment of a mode, and I'm really content putting it at the bottom of the list. Terra Maledicta from Vanguard Zombies is easily the worst entry in that game and one of the worst experiences in zombies in general. As much as I like some of the additions to Vanguard Zombies, which I'll explain later when I rank Duran Fong, this map doesn't allow me to enjoy any of it because everything else is just so wrong. This map and Duran Fong being objective based suffers from the same problem where it gets super boring and repetitive after just a few rounds. I think the beauty of COD Zombies in its conception was that you got to play how you wanted, just as a horde survival game, or you could challenge yourself and do the main quest. But the biggest flaw of Vanguard Zombies is that it forces you to do objectives to progress at all, and there is literally nothing else to do in the game. Besides these fundamental issues, Terra Maledicta doesn't fail to upset me in other ways. The map is way too big for the whole objective-based thing. When you aren't doing your objectives, you are spending time buying perks and other upgrades, but this means you have to run a really long distance just to do those super basic things. Half of the game, when playing Terra Maledicta, is just running around. Also, yes, this map has a wonder weapon, but I don't know how a single fucking person likes this thing. First off, the little shield blast it does takes 30 whole seconds to charge, and that is way too long when the radius of the blast isn't even that large anyway, and when it is recharging, it leaves you with this stupid melee attack that, if anything, is more dangerous to the player than not using it, because at least on PC it has this weird side effect where it locks on to whatever enemy you're attempting to melee, and it stops you from being able to look around for a split second. That doesn't sound like a big deal until there's 50 zombies surrounding you and you spent almost a whole second unable to look around after shield bashing. I almost died several times using this thing. What a terrible map. For our first Black Ops 2 entry, we have Transit. Transit was so clearly ahead of its time that unfortunately this became its downfall. Picture this, you just completed the moon Easter egg and you've blown up the Earth. This leaves you fiercely questioning how the mode will go. Where will our characters go? What will happen from here? 2 years later comes around and as you're filled with excitement you get waiting for a bus simulator. No, seriously though, this map has some really big problems. Like I said, it was ahead of its time. The team was super ambitious about the next Zombies experience and wanted to make the largest and most sprawling map to date. Unfortunately, the old Xbox 360s and PlayStation 3s of 2012 couldn't hold up, and the map simply wouldn't run well because of the amount of textures that needed to be loaded for a map so complex and large. This forced the devs at Treyarch to add some super irritating mechanics to the map. Firstly, the fog. It makes the map look hideous and severely limits the player's visibility. What is in the fog is even worse though. Secondly, those goddamn denizens. In case you don't know what those are, they are these creepy little disgusting creatures that will crawl up on your face and scratch you every time you enter the fog. They slow the player down severely and make you very vulnerable to zombies at later rounds. This was only added to slow players down so the console had more time to load textures for the player. It shows too, because this is one of those things in zombies that carries a ton of risk but almost zero reward. I guess they do let you teleport, but it is useless because you most often just end up back in the fog. Besides those issues, the bus mechanic is a mess and it's super annoying. The map is huge and you for some reason can't call the bus to your location. This means that if the bus leaves you, you must wait for it to circle the entire map before returning to you. Or I suppose you could run in the fog and deal with the annoying little abominations of nature. This map is so bad that it's actually kind of fun to hop on with friends. That's kind of what everybody says. It's fun co-op because you get to say bad things about it. And yes, it is true. When I play, it's only fun in co-op so that we get to shit on the map together. Farm doesn't necessarily do anything egregious. It is just so plain and simple that I can't put it any higher. There are other maps that do basic survival way better though, so you'll see more maps like this way higher up on the list. Farm is just way too small and pretty much has nowhere to train. It's ugly and the layout is terrible. There are perks, but for some reason there isn't a pack-a-punch, and this just makes no sense to me. It isn't like the map is bad and has obvious flaws, but it is this low because just like Transit, there is zero reason for me to come back to it. Bodega Cervantes is, as I mentioned before, one of the maps from the Tortured Path, but in its round-based variety. Bodega Cervantes is a pretty bare-bones survival experience. It honestly doesn't have any issues, kind of just like Farm. It's just really boring. The layout kind of sucks for a zombies map, and it just gets old really quick. I can't think of much to say for this map. It's just one of the most forgettable COD Zombies experiences, and there's really never a reason to come back to this either. Dead Ops Arcade 3 deviated so much from the formula that made Dead Ops Arcade so special in the first place. My biggest issue when playing it again for this video is that it was just downright confusing, especially when you enter the jungle. Maybe it's just me and I'm not experienced enough in Dead Ops Arcade 3, but I didn't even know where to go. It felt challenging and I felt lost. Dead Ops Arcade was and should be a simple survival arcade shooter where you just survive different challenges and progress to earn cooler shit without any confusion on what to do or where to go whatsoever. They tried to do way too much, and at least in my experience playing it, this caused the mode to just fall flat on its face. It really is a shame because the other Dead Ops arcades were so great, and I hope that if Treyarch does more in the future that they go back to their roots for what Dead Ops Arcade should be. USS Mount Olympus is better than Bodega Cervantes for one reason. The map layout is dynamic. Besides that, it's literally the same experience. You have your wall buys, the perks, the mystery box, and you power up a pack-a-punch the same way by charging those 3 soul boxes. But what makes this map slightly more enjoyable is the fact that the ship rocks back and forth, and this actually causes some trucks to roll over, and this changes the layout of the map. When I was playing, I actually found this to be a pretty stimulating feature because even though the map is still boring, I couldn't totally just turn off my brain and not pay attention to what was going on so I didn't die due to the map changing. Other than that though, it suffers from the same issues as Bodega Cervantes. The map layout is a little weird, and I feel like for these Tortured Path maps, you could really tell they were designed with the Tortured Path game mode in mind, and I kind of feel like they just turned them into survival maps just for the sake of having more content in the game. Bus Depot has a slight upper hand to Farm in terms of Black Ops 2 survival maps because there's actual room to train. I actually kind of enjoy the entire bare bones no perk and no pack-a-punch thing here. There is literally one door and a mystery box, but the map is more fun than Farm because of this reason. Farm just feels depressing to play, whereas if I'm loading up Bus Depot, it's with an actual objective and purpose to see how far I can make it with no resources. It's kind of like Knocked in that way, but Knocked is way better aesthetically, placing it higher up on the list. Bus Depot is this low because, again, it's just so bare bones and there's so little to do that I almost never really want to play it. Duran Fong is a lackluster zombies experience, but with that being said, I don't think it's as bad as the community paints it to be. I know some of you are going to ask how it made it this far, but going back to play it honestly wasn't the world's worst experience. There are some systems they added to Vanguard Zombies that I enjoy pretty universally, so these positives aren't necessarily a testament to Duran Fong, but more so just the systems that they added to the game overall. I like trading the hearts for covenants. I do think that system adds a lot of variety to the gameplay of Vanguard Zombies, and let me just say, I love that in Vanguard Zombies, instead of the perks and field upgrades being upgraded in a menu outside of the game, you have to upgrade the perks with points and the field upgrades with hearts in every individual game. Truthfully, I would rather have no upgrade for them at all and have them just work how they used to, but this does entirely rid of the issue Cold War had, where once you upgraded everything to its max level outside of the game, that was it, and the progression in the game kind of just stalled. I think the way Vanguard did it was way better than that, and I think for the systems in that game alone, it didn't end up at the very bottom of the list. Unfortunately for Doranfang as a map in isolation, it pales in comparison to the round-based maps in Vanguard. I think it is way better than Terra Maledicta because the map is smaller, which I think works a lot better for the objective-based thing, where when you aren't doing an objective, all your time is really spent buying perks or upgrading yourself in some way, but the map still suffers from the fundamental issues with Vanguard's gameplay system, where the objective-based stuff just gets so boring. It is super repetitive, and after you've unlocked everything and you're playing for a while, you just want to quit because it becomes very not fun. Basically all the same stuff I said for Terra Maledicta. Okay, so get this. Vanguard's final zombies map, the Archon, was literally the same map as Terra Maledicta. Like, 0 new areas. And it's green now. But it added a boss fight that is decent. The Archon falls just 1 spot above Doranfang because it has a boss fight that clearly had some effort put into it. Otherwise, the layout of the map still sucks, there's still nothing to do, and it's just an awful, awful experience. Considering the amount of maps that exist which are fun to play and have a good boss fight, there is never, ever a reason to return to the Archon. I hate this map. Outbreak from Exo Zombies is by far the worst entry of the 4 maps in that game. It's the most basic for sure, but the real issues with the map stems from Exo Zombies' bad mechanics, the map design, and the weapon selection. The map is not designed with exosuits in mind at all. Exo Zombies maps excel with wide open areas, and this map barely has any. Coupled with the bad mechanics of the game where zombies can leap at you and disable your exosuit, this quickly becomes a problem and makes the map much more difficult than it needs to be. Not in a fun way, just a frustrating one. The weapon selection doesn't make it any easier as there isn't a real wonder weapon and the damage falls off very quick, so actually killing the zombies becomes a challenge real fast. This map just isn't fun to play for me, and I never boot it up unless I need to play it for a video. I'm not going to take very long talking about Altar of Blood because in most ways it is the same exact experience as USS Mount Olympus and Bodega Cervantes, but this map is the best of the 3 in my opinion because the layout is much better and at least this map is aesthetically pleasing to look at. That's literally all I have to say about this map. Besides that, it has the same issues of lacking content and being boring. When I went back to play Die Rise for this video, all it did for me was leave me to think about how awful of a time I had. Verticality is a cool idea, but it was executed in this map super poorly. The main method of transportation is elevators, and some areas of the map are completely inaccessible without them, so just like the bus, you have to wait what sometimes feels like an eternity for them to arrive. Oh, and also, the perks are in the elevators too, meaning that you will sometimes get completely screwed over and die after being trapped because you were waiting for them to get to you. Or, in a worst case scenario, you will lose your weapon in the Pack-a-Punch machine because the elevator changed floors after you put your gun in. Now, with a map completely based on verticality and jumping from building to building, what perk do you think would best suit it? Of course, PhD, but guess what? It doesn't matter because not only did they decide to not make it available on the map, but they also decided that it would be a totally hilarious idea to troll the player by making the machine visible in an inaccessible portion of the map. That is actually the most unfunny thing I have ever witnessed and does nothing but infuriate me, considering how many times death by fall damage occurs on this map. But don't worry, because they did add a perk. But guess what? That perk sucks too. They added Who's Who, which is the shittiest perk ever conceived. When you die, you spawn back in as essentially a ghost of yourself, but the game gives you no perks and an M1911 upon spawning in, and the whole idea is that you're supposed to go and revive yourself. How on God's green earth do you think that this is happening on round 30? I'm not gonna lie, Carrier doesn't work on my PC, and I don't care enough to fix it. It just crashes the game for some unknown reason, and I only put it here based on what other people have said about it. I haven't actually played it myself, unfortunately, but it doesn't seem like anything special. I obviously can't get too specific with this one. I'm sorry. Okay, next. Nocturne on Toten on Black Ops 3 is worse than its World at War and Black Ops 1 counterparts in pretty much every way. Noct is so bare bones to begin with that the only reason I ever booted up is just for the challenge, but the Black Ops 3 version just completely takes away the challenge from the map entirely. If there was just Mule Kick on the map, like in Black Ops 1, it probably would have been the best version of Noct, but Treyarch decided to add both the Wonder Fizz and the Gobble machine. This makes it possible for the player to not only have every perk in the game besides Electric Cherry, but it also allows the player to pack-a-punch their weapon. Noct with Black Ops 3 mechanics just becomes a boring snooze fest of a map that there is no incentive to play whatsoever. The mechanics in Black Ops 3 completely ruins the flow of Shinonuma. Yes, the map feels and looks great, but the addition of the Gobble machine and the Wonder Fizz allows players to get perks without ever visiting the huts. The only reason to visit the huts is because the perks are in them, but popping a Perkaholic prevents the need to ever do that. This is an issue for many of the Chronicles maps with the exception of a few. I think the Zombies community is beginning to realize how often nostalgia has blinded us when ranking the World at War version of Noct. Yes, this map started it all and laid the foundation for the Zombies mode we all know and love today, but it's held back by how bare bones it is as well as the fact that it's on the World at War engine, which is undeniably buggy and rigid. It isn't necessarily a bad map unlike some of the ones previously, but I would almost never choose to play Noct. There is literally nothing besides 3 doors and a mystery box, so it's hard to rank it higher when other maps just offer so much more content. Nostalgia cannot save it for me. Admittedly, the atmosphere is a huge win for this map, and the sounds from the zombies mixed with the eerie visuals still send chills down my spine to this day. Descent from Exo Zombies really falls short for me. I think the map is beautiful and the layout isn't the worst, but there are some things I really hate about it. The boss rounds with Oz are super silly. If they were actually challenging and fun, maybe I wouldn't care, but they're brain dead easy and all it does is progress whatever bad story Exo Zombies has. Not to mention, these boss rounds are not voluntary. The game automatically pulls the player out to do them regardless of whether or not they want to. No matter what it is for, I have never enjoyed the idea of forcing the player to do a specific thing and not allowing them to play how they want to. Also, let's talk about the Trident. That weapon sucks. It just shoots this ball around that barely kills any zombies and has like a tiny % chance that it will even hit one. I know the Blunderbuss is good, but in my game I got the Trident and was super disappointed with it. I think the only redeeming quality of Descent is that you can use the Goliath armor for like 4 or 5 rounds straight if you're careful. Dead Ops Arcade achieves exactly what its goal is, to be an arcade-style approach to zombies that offers a different dimension of fun. Personally, I love Dead Ops, but it simply cannot match the complexity and fun of full-blown zombies experiences. I am a huge Easter egg guy, so I can't really compare it to traditional zombies experiences and say it's better than all the ones that aren't just purely awful. I have a lot of fun playing Dead Ops, but I tend to only want to go back to it like once a year, maybe. It is way more fun with friends, but I unfortunately tend to lack many of those, so yeah. I am super torn about Verrucht in Black Ops 1. On one hand, the gameplay feels way smoother than it did in World at War simply because of a better engine. I far prefer the Black Ops 1 gun selection over World at War, and Quick Revive actually produces its intended effect. But on the other hand, is Verrucht really about any of that? To me, Verrucht is well received because of its atmosphere above all else. Verrucht is legitimately scary, like to the point where I get chills just by playing the map. When I was making this video and playing the Black Ops 1 version, I wasn't scared at all. It didn't feel right, and I was able to pinpoint exactly why. Firstly, many of the sound effects are either missing or misplaced. I tried probably over 10 times to activate the dentist chair scream Easter egg, and it simply wouldn't activate, only for me to hear the scream that is supposed to play at the chair randomly in the middle of the game while I was doing something completely unrelated. Secondly, they completely ditched the super sprinters in Black Ops. Part of what freaks me out in the World at War version is the fact that the super sprinters can get to you far before you've even processed their existence, providing for super intense and terrifying moments. Lastly, the mostly gray and flat Black Ops 1 lighting makes the tone of the map feel way too different from the original, but Black Ops 1 is known to have a weird color palette. And you know what, upon thinking about it more, I come to realize that Verrucht is the only map where I appreciate that in World at War the zombies can grab you when they hit you and Quick Revive does not work in solo. This actually adds to the fear factor for me and it makes the map even better. Oh, also, the Winter's Hell sucks and it just doesn't fit the map at all. I don't even know why they added it or whose choice it was. Noct in Black Ops 1 is a welcome and well done improvement over its World at War counterpart. I really appreciated that they only added Mule Kick and not the rest of the perks. This keeps the map challenging just as it was originally intended to be. It is an extremely faithful remaster that benefits from the smoother Black Ops 1 engine. I also really enjoy the addition of the Thunder Gun and the Monkey Bombs. They make reaching high rounds on Noct a lot more fun and a slightly more forgiving experience. Not to mention, you won't have to wait an eternity for a flamethrower to kill your horde of zombies. I really enjoy Nox Black Ops 1 Remaster. Okay, listen, I know y'all are about to come at me because I got this map this high, but listen, I played Infection for the first time when I recorded this video, and I actually had a decent amount of fun. I'm not sure if that's a zombie sin, and I know this map still has many flaws, but hear me out. The Magnetron, first of all, is way better than the jet gun from Transit. I've heard people say that the Magnetron is like the worst wonder weapon of all time, which I give to the jet gun. It's not even close. The Magnetron fully upgraded was actually super fun to use. Also, the layout of this map is the perfect Exo Zombies map layout. I know a ton of people like to complain about the sewers, but I didn't mind them at all and actually thought they were a really exciting contrast to the rest of the map above ground, which I must say is absolutely awesome for training. It is so wide open, and since the zombies in Exo can literally leap at you, this is such a gift, and it is made so interesting by the sewers being extremely narrow in some places. Also, the boss zombie, the Goliath, he was a super fun challenge to try and take him out. Oh my god. Very rarely in Treyarch Zombies is there a boss that is actually difficult to kill, so it was such a cool change of pace to have one in Exo that felt like a real threat. The biggest flaw, and the only thing actually holding this map down for me, is the survivor rounds. Again, I hate when players are forced to do something in Zombies that they don't necessarily want to do. The survivor's AI is quite possibly the worst thing ever created, and the penalty of the power drain for failing is super punishing. Not to mention, when the survivor moves at 0.1 miles per hour and the zombies are all leaping at you, it gets really frustrating. Besides that though, I'm sorry, but I quite like Infection. Dead Ops Arcade 2 is the best version of Dead Ops Arcade. It took everything that was good about Dead Ops Arcade 1 and improved on it by adding more special rounds where you can do cool and silly things like have a literal car race, and it added some cool quality of life things such as being able to enter first person. As much as I love Dead Ops Arcade 2, I can't put it any higher because again, it is just Dead Ops, and it really would be a shame if I said I would prefer to play it over any of the experiences above this. I hope future Dead Ops Arcade iterations are more like this one. The Darkest Shore I think gets way too much hate. I know people think the map is ugly and that the fog is as bad as Transits and things like that, but I actually like the vibe of the map and I like the fog. The boss zombie they added is like super fucking terrifying, but with the fog it makes it even scarier when you can't see it until it's right in front of you. And also, this fog doesn't contain any denizens, so that's a plus. I really like the wonder weapon on this map too. It's a really creative wonder weapon and I like that it doesn't take up a weapon slot. In terms of gameplay alone, I really do not mind the map. I think my biggest issue with this map is that some of the Easter egg steps are super tedious to the point where trying to do it is not fun at all, especially in solo. I'll give a perfect example too. That step where you have to shoot the ships with the artillery gun is probably the worst Easter egg step for solo ever, because if you are even at a remotely high round, it is impossible to line up the artillery gun with the ships without getting absolutely destroyed by zombies. The area where the gun resides is extremely small and it takes forever to interact with the wheel enough to turn the artillery gun to the right position. Not to mention the ships are shooting back at you on the map, so it gets super chaotic. I got up to this step and couldn't complete it on solo for the life of me. It got way too hectic and I died immediately. The Easter egg is full of tedious steps like this one, and I think that the map's biggest setback is that you can't really dive deep into everything it has to offer without having a pretty miserable experience. The Beast from Beyond I think is another map that is potentially overhated. I understand that this map has some flaws that are pretty big, but there's a lot about it that has potential too. For one, the atmosphere is really nice. I know much of the map takes place indoors and it doesn't do too much to utilize the beautiful outdoor space this map has, but the theater section where you can see the theater these films have been playing in this whole time is a really cool touch, and it was nice to finally be able to play in that area. The map in general actually feels pretty fun to just chill and survive on. The Venom X, though not the most fantastic weapon, was really nice to see return to the Horde mode, and its variants were great additions to the map. Also, the Mephistopheles boss fight was added with this map, which may be the best boss fight in all of COD Zombies, so that definitely brings the map up quite a bit. Now, for the obvious problems with the map, the cryptids returning from extinction is quite possibly the worst decision ever made. They are brutal too. They spawn in and don't stop until power is turned on, and they are so difficult to deal with that they had to provide you with an AR upon spawning into the game. This is like 99% of the reason this map is so low on the list. Besides that, the Easter egg for the map has a lot of steps that really just make no sense in relation to the map, and the boss fight for the map itself, not Mephistopheles, is absolutely terrible and not fun to play whatsoever. This map could have been something special, but it goes to show how just a few small decisions can really negatively impact the gameplay experience. It is true. After Call of Duty Vanguard, the zombies community was at an all-time low, and we were praying for something that was a return to form from Treyarch, something that would return us to the glory days of zombies and make us feel heard once more. We figured that after the return to round-based zombies in Vanguard, Treyarch would have learned and understood that objective-based zombies did not resonate with the community too well. Then, the trailer for Operation Deadbolt dropped for Sledgehammer's new game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and to say the least, the community was outraged. Fortunately for Treyarch, they ended up crafting an objective-based zombies formula that almost resonated as well with the community as Cold War's Outbreak. Okay, maybe not the community, but at least to me, I think it's really close. Playing Operation Deadbolt solo is admittedly a drag, but contrary to what I said earlier in the video, I do have one dedicated friend who played Modern Warfare 3 zombies pretty regularly, and playing with friends is an absolute blast. There's not too much really interesting about the game story-wise, but I think they kind of nailed the objective-based gameplay. I found that there was tons of variety in what you could do at any given moment, and the acquisition and schematic system really made the game replayable because it was not fast or easy to unlock everything the game had to offer. The mode is full of intense and enjoyable boss zombies and epic fight sequences, and for the first time ever there were 24 players on the map, so whenever everybody linked up to take down one of those big bosses together, it was such a breathtaking and awesome experience. This mode, however, definitely has its flaws. In general, the objective-based thing will always in my head work way worse than the round-based options, and this game really struggled with post-launch support, as most of the team was pulled during the game's lifecycle to work on Black Ops 6. This mode could have been something special, but it sadly fell really short when the community needed it most. Thankfully, Black Ops 6 does fill the void this game created. I love the concept of Moon, but the execution, especially on Black Ops 1, needed some more thought. Let me get it out of the way because I'm sure some of you are steaming about this ranking. Yes, the Easter egg has probably the best ending that we have ever seen in zombies. Blowing up the earth was a crazy and mind-boggling thing that became extremely iconic very fast. Another thing I like about Moon is Area 51, where the rounds are suspended, and if you are skilled enough to, you can get Juggernog or Speed Cola before round 1 even starts. I love that risk to reward nature. Obviously the map is on the moon, so it's kind of epic in that regard, and the low gravity stuff is super cool. Oh, also the biodome is probably one of the best training spots in all of zombies. Okay, before I move on, I just want to clarify, I still find this map super fun to play, and it is undeniably full of both new and innovative content. Now onto my issues with the map, which I think are pretty big problems. Firstly, I cannot stand the excavator system. Not only is it completely useless to the player and is pretty much only used for the Easter egg and to, I guess, spice up the map flow, but if the player decides to not disable them, half of the entire map can be blocked off to the player as long as they are standing near spawn. This forces the player to run around and use the hacker even if they don't want to, just so they can go back to the spawn and disable the stupid excavators. If I'm not doing the Easter egg and I don't want low gravity in the biodome, this gets super annoying to do, besides the whole map being closed off thing. I am never an advocate for forcing the player to use a certain system in the game and having a punishment as brutal as blocking off the map if they don't want to. My next complaint is the solo Easter egg on Black Ops 1. Oh my god, is it an absolute nightmare to even attempt this Easter egg on solo? Just imagine, with no gobblegums, trying to do the following with the mystery box. Get the Gersh devices, get QEDs, get the wave gun, which is the map's main wonder weapon, and then get Gersh devices again in a timely fashion. It doesn't sound that bad until you realize that the probability of getting some of these things is extremely small. This makes the Easter egg brutal on solo and just not fun to do. Oh, also I forgot to add, on solo you need to be Richthofen and you need to have completed both Shangri-La and Call of the Dead prior to attempting Moon, or else you just cannot do the Easter egg. What fantastic game design. Every map from here on out, I can confidently say they are solid maps. I don't necessarily have massive problems with them like some of the previous entries to the list, and I consider them all fun and well thought out maps. Shinonuma from World at War is a fun map to high round on in particular because only 24 zombies can spawn per round. It's a very simple map with a central hub and 4 branches to explore. Each hut is relatively detailed and there are some really cool Easter eggs within, like Richthofen's laugh when the book is interacted with, or the music Easter egg with the creepy "I know when you're sleeping" shit that scares the crap out of me. It's got some really good training spots, introduced the Hellhounds, and to be honest, I don't have too much to complain about. It just doesn't do much special, and honestly, it's a super ugly map in World at War. It also automatically loses some points because it's World at War, so it's super buggy and quick revive doesn't work. Shinonuma from Black Ops 1 fits very well just above its World at War counterpart. Out of all the Black Ops 1 remasters, I feel Shinonuma probably changed the least. It sits above World at War just because it's on a smoother engine, quick revive works properly, it's a little harder because the 24 zombies cap was removed, but besides that, I view them as relatively identical maps. I would consider weapon selection, but I don't either of them in World at War or Black Ops 1, so it kinda doesn't really matter. The Shadowed Throne is a really interesting zombies map, and to this day I've never had an experience quite like it. It is a pretty small map, which definitely surprised me when playing it, but by far the best aspect of this map is the diversity in wonder weapons. There are 3 melee wonder weapons you can get: an axe, a dagger, and a bat, all of which have really interesting abilities and effects that are super fun to play with. Along with those, there is the Wonder Bus, which honestly is more of a tool than a wonder weapon, but it's still super fun to use, regardless of how you use it. I think personally my only gripe with the map is that the Easter egg requires a lot of interacting with the radio, which is certainly not easy on solo because the zombies can still hit you while you use it, and the Easter egg contains a Morse code step, which I never like. But the boss fight is pretty solid at the end of the day, and I think the map is an overall decent experience. The Frozen Dawn has all the things I liked about the Shadowed Throne, and it sits above it because of the really cool boss fight against the God King, what a name, but I think the map suffers from similar issues as the Shadowed Throne. So similarly to the Shadowed Throne, this map has melee wonder weapons, several of them, all of which are even more fun to use than those in the Shadowed Throne, and they can all be upgraded. That is definitely what makes these World War II maps special. The downsides of the map though are again, the Easter egg steps in particular. This Easter egg is rather lengthy, and in order to complete it you have to obtain and upgrade all of the wonder weapons, and then some more steps on top of that, most of which are quite confusing. The map aesthetically is the best in the game by a million miles, one of the best in the series. It is so fun to play and look at as a whole gameplay package. It's a good map. The Easter egg though, and the requirement to literally do every single thing possible in the map in order to do the Easter egg, can make the map feel like a drag, and ultimately it does really hinder the experience. I feel like Sledgehammer never really found out a fantastic formula for a good Easter egg, but they do definitely have some great moments as well as some great gameplay ideas, which they undeniably deserve credit for. Outbreak from Cold War is really challenging to rank comparatively because it's another objective-based game mode. I don't think anything else has really caused such a divide in the community as Outbreak has. I'm pretty sure there was a time when like 50% of all Cold War Zombies players were choosing to play Outbreak instead of round-based. So Outbreak is essentially the same system as Vanguard Zombies, where you complete challenges, gear up, and go to the next round, but every round in Outbreak takes place on a different open world map where there are a bunch of side objectives to do, a bunch of places to explore, and bosses to fight. Personally, I think Outbreak is much better than Vanguard's objective-based system. I like the way an open world plays with objectives way more than a small map that just teleports you elsewhere to complete an objective. I had a lot of fun playing Outbreak for this video, and it definitely is not anywhere near the strongest that Zombies as a game mode has to offer, but it is a really refreshing alternative experience that, especially with friends, can be a great time. There is a certain feeling when playing Zombies in an open world setting that just can't be replicated by any round-based experience. If Outbreak is to return, I'd love to see it refined by having maps specifically designed for zombies, and I'd be really interested to see it more narrative driven. I'd rather have only 3 maps, but have them be full of lore and zombies related content than a bunch of multiplayer and campaign looking maps. Voyage of Despair I think is perfect in the middle of the road. There are some really special things about Voyage that I think often get overlooked, but the flaws in Voyage cannot be ignored. First off, I know this opinion is unpopular, but I really like the wonder weapon and its variants. Like, yeah, it may not be the strongest, but using it is genuinely fun. I like that Pack-a-Punch is super simple to turn on, you just activate 4 pedestals, and Voyage has one of the best boss fights in all of Zombies. Unfortunately, while everyone thought the Titanic would make for the world's greatest Zombies map, the many vertical layers and extremely tight and intricate corridors make for a layout that is, even after playing the map dozens of times, extremely confusing to put lightly, and no matter what I do, I always have trouble getting to where I need to be. The Titanic was a cool idea, but in retrospect it really did not translate well to a Zombies experience. Also, the Easter egg, while having an amazing boss fight, has some of the most tedious and monotonous steps ever, which is a common issue in Black Ops 4. I think this map also gets overshadowed by the other maps that were offered on launch. People were just way more excited for the Ether storyline stuff, and 9 was a far better map than Voyage, so like, if I want to play a Black Ops 4 launch map, I would literally rather choose any other one besides Voyage. All in all though, Voyage is a quality experience. Baruch in Black Ops 3 is better than the Black Ops 1 version, but it doesn't quite live up to the World at War version. It improves on the Black Ops 1 version by getting the atmosphere closer to the original and making sure the sound design was better. Some stylistic changes, such as the fountain being filled with blood, adds a lot to the map for me. The Winter's Howl, as I said previously, sucks, so they decided to put in the Wonder WAF for the Black Ops 3 version, which is a much more welcome and sensible addition. The only reason the map is this low is similar to the reason that Knocked from Black Ops 3 is so low. There is little sense of challenge, and the mechanics of Black Ops 3 completely changes the flow. The Gobble machine allows for Pack-a-Punch and all the perks, which kind of hurts the map more than it helps. This version of the map has good atmosphere, but there's no sense of fear because the mechanics of Black Ops 3 allows players to get very comfortable. It may shock some people that Nuketown is this high. I know it's a very divisive map to put it simply, but I actually quite enjoy Nuketown. Both of the backyards offer excellent training spots, which is a huge plus for me. I know a lot of people dislike the random perks spawning on a random round thing, but I actually love that idea. It is the only map ever made to do that, and that's what makes this map replayable for me. I love revisiting Nuketown to experience a different challenge each time. I have always said this, and I still believe this to be true. Nuketown is the best map for making yourself better at zombies. Adapting to which perks you have at your disposal throughout the game and the order in which you do things, coupled with the various amounts of choke points on the map such as in the houses or some of the perk locations, this results in a potentially challenging experience that will change your decision making with each match. I also find it so cool how much they paid attention to story here. Not only are there some radios that provide actually really interesting dialogue, but at some point during the game, the zombies' eyes will change from yellow to blue because this map takes place simultaneously with Moon, and this signifies the moment in which Richthofen took control of the zombies. Super cool stuff and all around enjoyable experience to revisit. Town is the absolute best survival map there is, no doubt about it. It is super simple and an extremely enjoyable experience. Town is my go-to map if I just want to kill zombies and turn off my brain. There's everything you need for an enjoyable survival experience. Perks, pack-a-punch, wall buys, the mystery box, and really good training areas. I love that Town's floor plan is pretty much open, which allows for tons of fun in co-op, because in a team of 4, every player could get their own training spot. That's how open the map is. I literally have zero complaints about Town. I actually think it's the only green run map where the lava is beneficial because it actually forces the player to pay more attention when training. Because of this, I find myself running into downs less often just because I'm bored. If there was more to do in Town, it would probably be way higher up, but it will rest here simply because it is a survival map and lacks content. Okay, I lied and this might surprise you a bit, and I'm sure I will get a lot of shit for this, but Groston House is actually the best survival map there is. Playing a zombies map in the middle of the woods in an abandoned cabin house is literally the definition of zombie horror, and it certainly feels that way when playing. The map is the ultimate challenge map. It's super small, but gives you the ability to survive with many resources, all of which are unlocked through doing some small, super easy side Easter eggs, which really makes the gameplay more enjoyable and less boring. Initially, you spawn in with just wall weapons, armor, and a Wonder Fizz machine, so you seem pretty hopeless at first, but if you shoot all the lanterns on the map that have a purple glow in the middle, it will open a room that has the mystery box, allowing you a much wider range of more powerful weapons. Furthermore, if you throw a jack-in-the-box on a specific wood beam and then pay 10,000 points at the piano, it will turn every weapon in the mystery box pack-a-punched. These additions, while small, result in a significant change in feel to the map, where instead of feeling like your lame old survival map where you're just provided with everything you need to survive, you actually have to earn the things that will make you stronger, adding depth and providing for a much richer survival experience. I would say this map is just as effective, if not more effective, than Nuketown if you're looking to become a better zombies player. Shaolin Shuffle, I think, is a really underrated map. It isn't anything groundbreaking, but it is good fun. The Pack-a-Punch quest on this map is really simple, and while the Easter egg may be a drag, the gameplay alone is rather enjoyable, and that's what I want to focus on. The map is kind of lower than it could be because the Easter egg sucks so much. I really strongly dislike it, but the gameplay of this map, in my opinion, is phenomenal. The Kung Fu kind of specialist powers that you can get are really fun and unique to use, and being able to use weapons like shurikens and a katana really add to the vibe of this map. I actually think the layout of the map is pretty good. I know the layout is another thing that gets critiqued, but I actually think this map strikes a really solid balance between having plenty of choke points as well as room to move around. Also, I really like the way the underground sewer system connects the spawn area of the map and the back half by the Pack-a-Punch. I really like when maps give you more than one way to get somewhere. One last thing on this map, as much as I hate the Easter egg with a passion, the Rat King is a pretty sick boss in my opinion. Up next, we have Attack of the Radioactive Thing. So I have really conflicting thoughts about this map. I was never too into the map, but I kind of got into it to record this video, and it's actually much cooler than I thought. I really love the aesthetic and super old style this map has, and I really like the Wonder Weapon. I found the Wonder Weapon super fun to use. I would agree with many of the map's critiques though. Similarly to Shaolin Shuffle, the Easter egg is super convoluted and confusing, and this map for some reason feels super huge to me. I feel like it takes ages to open the entire map. It's kind of in a similar position to Shaolin Shuffle where I find the core gameplay pretty fun and enjoyable, but some of the nitty-gritty details of the map and the Easter egg kind of throw the complete experience of the map off to me. I gotta give it credit though, it's much better than I expected. I have such a love-hate relationship with Alpha Omega, and I know the zombies community generally hates it, but truthfully, it pains me to have to put it this low on the list. I think many critiques people have of the map are valid, but I also disagree with a really large portion of them. For example, I know people dislike that it's a Nuketown reskin and how the bunker area is just stolen blackout assets, but I really don't mind, and I actually like how the map flows and connects together. I feel like it's generally easy to get around, and to complain about it being Nuketown is kind of silly because I think the map aesthetically is beautiful regardless. People also complain that they were lazy with the wonder weapon selection because it's just variations of the Ray Gun Mark II, which I guess I understand, but truthfully I disagree because I think the variations they came up with are all fun in their own way, especially playing in multiplayer, and I feel like they're not too challenging to get but also not too easy, which is a good balance because it shouldn't be just a walk in the park to get them, since the base weapon itself is already really powerful. People also dislike the jolting jacks because I guess people get bitter about enemies with ranged attacks and the Nova bombers because I guess people find them annoying, but me personally, I really like the variation there with them. I understand when it's something like the boss that shoots the minigun in Vanguard Zombies, like yeah, obviously I don't want to get shot by a fucking minigun when I'm playing zombies, but having an enemy that shoots something at me is a variety that I really like in the mode. It makes you stay on your toes. Also, the parasites from Shadows of Evil did the same shit, and I rarely see people saying that they can't stand the parasites. I think I've covered most of the critiques, and the next few things I'm going to say I think the community universally likes. Rushmore is awesome. He strikes a great balance of storytelling and comedy and really helps in terms of guiding the players through what's going on with the map. Another thing is, I love how when you're doing literally like the first or second step of the Easter egg, the one where you have to enter the time on the clocks in the houses, you get all of these sick rewards just for playing the map. That's what a good Easter egg does. You get a free Pack-a-Punched weapon and a free Pack-a-Punched Ray Gun Mark II, and I think that's really neat. And lastly, I'm not really sure if this is unpopular, but I really enjoy the Easter egg and I think the boss fight is the perfect level of challenging. So, I know I've said a lot of positives about the map, but why is it number 43, you may ask? I think a big reason the community feels so much resentment towards the map is because it isn't anywhere near what we wanted or expected at the time of release. Treyarch suffered with massive budget cuts from Activision at this time, and their plans for Black Ops 4 had to change entirely. This map, while good in many ways, doesn't stand out like some of the ones above it, and was too little too late in the eyes of the fans. It brought in cartoon-style slideshows instead of fluid animations, and it was obvious that the production quality was lacking. Feeling resentment for those reasons is valid, and I happen to be one of the people who feel the same. It just wasn't the miracle it could have been, and the blame falls entirely on Activision, not Treyarch themselves. Ascension introduced some of the absolute best material to zombies. I have so much to say about this map. Firstly, I love the fact that the map starts in black and white and only changes to color once the power has been turned on. It is such a seemingly insignificant feature, but the contrast from black and white to color really adds to the experience and offers slightly more to the already existing rewards for activating the power. Secondly, this map has the best training spot in all of zombies, hands down. A massive open platform with zero barriers. This makes high rounding super easy on this map. Third, they added 2 perks to the map, and they are 2 of the best perks ever introduced. Stamina Up was introduced, allowing the player to run faster, which really helps and has shown to be essential in later maps. This map also gave birth to the one, the only, PhD Flopper. This perk removes fall damage and explosive damage. This meant the ray gun no longer dealt splash damage, which is a huge deal on any map. Lastly, this map introduced the first main quest Easter egg ever. It was simple, but it started the amazing complex challenges that veteran zombies players have come to cherish today. Besides all of these things, the flow of the map is great and it's just all around fun. The only complaint I have with the map is the monkeys. They are super damn annoying, but I'm sure I've just got a skill issue. Der Riese in World at War introduced some of the most vital concepts we've come to know and love in zombies. It was the birthplace of the Pack-a-Punch, which is awesome for obvious reasons. It introduced the teleporters, which have been seen over and over again in the series, and was the first example of a fast travel system, which allows the player to access different areas of the map substantially faster. The design of the map is nearly perfect, and the aesthetics add so much to the map. The writings and symbols on the walls spark the theories to figure out the storyline, and they spread like wildfire. This map, regardless of World at War's buggy engine, is still super fun and holds up extremely well today. There is one major flaw though. Unfortunately, the Wunderwaffe has a game-breaking glitch, where if you accidentally shoot yourself with it, you'll completely lose Juggernaut's effect and go down in just one hit. To this day, that glitch was never patched. This map would likely be way higher if not for that one unforgivable issue. 5 surprises me every time I play it for one reason. It is really challenging, and I love it. I always tell myself it can't be as hard as I remember, but then it's always more difficult. I love the challenge. It isn't unfairly difficult. It's not like a map like Moon that requires crazy RNG for the Easter egg or anything, but it is challenging in a way that's only a test of your skill and ability. That's it. The Pentagon Thief is super cool. I've always liked him because I find the concept so interesting, and I really appreciate the risk to reward ratio. The concept of a boss that takes away your weapon, potentially permanently, is really unique, and killing him feels super rewarding because he will give your weapon back and drop both a bonfire sale and a max ammo. Spectacular use of risk to reward by Treyarch. Also, the cast of politicians is super sick, and the fact that you're playing in the Pentagon, like, come on. I know the Winter's Howl sucks, but it is refreshing once in a while to use a wonder weapon that isn't super overpowered. I'm not saying it's a good thing, I know it's not good that the wonder weapon is bad, I just personally don't mind too much as I look at 5 as a challenge map first and foremost anyway. Okay, so this may be surprising to some of you because I know how much people like to shit on Cold War, but coming in at number 39 is our first round-based Cold War map, Firebase Z. I actually enjoyed this map quite a bit. The Easter egg was pretty easy, the boss fight was definitely too easy, but overall the quest is fun. I love the aesthetic, I think it's a beautiful map to look at. I really like the Ray K wonder weapon, and I love how it has that thing where you can impact one of the firing modes with the other. I think they definitely took inspiration from the Ray Gun Mark IIIs and Gorod Krovi there, and I love to see that in wonder weapons. I think it truly makes them more versatile. I really enjoyed the defense rounds you would get. I thought those were really cool, and I wish they would appear in some other maps. It was a great way to break up the gameplay and add some variety to the map. I think Firebase Z suffers in some ways. For example, the amount of bosses I think generally in Cold War is too high. They reduce the health and risk from bosses just to increase their spawn rates, and I feel like I'd prefer the opposite. Ultimately, Firebase Z is good fun, but nothing special. It doesn't have anything that really makes it stand out like some of the others on this list. I don't have any real issues with it, there's just a lot of better options if I was choosing what to play. I'm not sure what the dev team at Treyarch was smoking when they made Verrucht in World at War, but holy shit, does every Zombies dev need that. Verrucht from World at War and World at War only mastered the art of atmosphere. I know every Zombies YouTuber has said this, but playing this map will still send chills down my spine. I genuinely get anxiety when I play this map with headphones on. The screams of both humans and the undead really affects me in a super strange way. I feel nothing but despair and dread when I play this map, and that's exactly why it's amazing. Also, the super sprinters are terrifying and really add to making me scared every time I play. Not only that, but this map introduced perks, which we all know became more than just a zombie staple. This map doesn't have too much to it, but it's the only one that invokes genuine fear within me, and that's why it's so high on my list. I love this map. Also, I think on this map, I like it even more because of World at War's buggy engine. Feeling like the zombies are grabbing you actually adds to this map in my opinion. Der Riese from Black Ops 1 is a fun and all-around solid experience. I don't have too much to say about this map besides that it's everything good about World at War Der Riese while fixing all the problems that it had. Quick Revive actually works in solo, and the Wunderwaffe no longer makes you lose Juggernog and die in one hit if you zap yourself. In my eyes, Black Ops 1 Der Riese is just a more stable and fun version of its World at War counterpart. While Kino der Toten suffers from the same issue as the other Chronicles maps where the Black Ops 3 mechanics completely changes the flow, it isn't so bad on Kino and it's still fun. The map already had perks and Pack-a-Punch, so it isn't too big of a deal that you're able to get them through Gobblegums. The map had a huge visual upgrade. It does look really nice in the Black Ops 3 version. I think the weapon selection for Black Ops 3 actually suits the map better than in Black Ops 1, interestingly enough, but I might be slightly biased because I hate the Black Ops 1 weapon selection, especially in comparison to Black Ops 3's. The map is a classic, and playing it on Black Ops 3 is still a blast. It just sits below the Black Ops 1 version just because Kino is already a super easy map, so the Black Ops 3 version with Gobblegums and all the perks just makes it so easy to the point where it does get more boring than the Black Ops 1 version, and the Black Ops 1 version flows way better in my opinion. The Forsaken is truly an interesting experience. I actually want to start with the flaws on this map because I actually find that it gets better the deeper you look into it. So obviously, unanimously, the biggest issue with this map is the layout. They kind of just stitched together areas from the campaign, and the player is required to use teleporters to navigate between them. Now, this is actually lazy design. I get it because COVID and budget cuts and whatever, but that doesn't make it objectively any less of a problem with the map. The number of bosses on this map is just kind of stupid, particularly because they decided in Cold War to use every boss on every map, so by the time the Forsaken came around, it accumulated to a simply irresponsible amount of boss zombies. It just got annoying. Now, everything after this I find to be positives. Firstly, I adore the Wonder Weapon. It's probably my favorite one ever. The Crystal Axe is like this cool SMG melee weapon hybrid that you can convert back and forth, and using the axe will give you ammo for the SMG. It's just a really creative idea for a weapon, and not only is it fun to use, but it looks gorgeous. I think the Easter egg is pretty easy and fun, which isn't necessarily a good or bad thing that it's easy, but I found the boss fight to be pretty cool, and the ending cutscene was easily the best bit of material we got throughout the entire game. Another thing I really liked was the arcade. It actually had some really cool Easter egg type things like the Nacht on Toten game or the Der Eisendrache game, and I think that's a really cool thing to add to a map. It kind of gave me Infinite Warfare vibes in that way, and it offered some pretty cool rewards, so props to Treyarch for adding something like that. Lastly, out of all the maps in Cold War, I actually find the high rounds on this map to be the most fun, regardless of all the dumb bosses. Listen, all in all, I don't care what anyone says. This map is full of content and cool little side Easter eggs. It may have not been exactly what we wanted, or even what Treyarch themselves wanted, but it was a solid DLC 4 map when you compare it to some of the other games. I don't think I could run out of good things to say about the Final Reich. By a mile my favorite map from World War II, and it saddens me so deeply that they didn't just follow the same path they started on. This map was amazing. The Wonder Weapon and its elemental variants was really cool. The Tesla gun as an idea, while it may seem uninspired coming after the Wunderwaffe, I think it was really cool and unique. The layout of this map was perfect. I like how spawn connects you to parts of the map that are otherwise not so easy to get to. The flow is really solid, I can't complain about it at all. World War II personally, I really think had some fantastic mechanics. I think World War II's armor system is a perfect fix for the issue of Juggernog being a crutch perk. I think the fact that you can swap out perks, though not as good as Infinite Warfare's system where you can choose which perk to swap out, is still a good quality of life feature. I really like the consumables feature, and I think it's a great, less overpowered alternative to the Gobblegums, and all of these things really help out all of the World War II maps, generally speaking. The Final Reich excels in ways that the other World War II maps couldn't even dream of. It had an Easter egg that was guided, and it helped you step by step on completing a casual version of the Easter egg while still having a fantastic boss fight, and there was a hardcore Easter egg with no hints that could be completed if you're into that thing. The Easter egg is great, and having both options made it really easy to get involved into the story of the game. Even Treyarch with Black Ops 6 took a page out of that book. The vibe and aura of the map is fantastic. I think on this map they hit a home run in terms of achieving their goal, which was to make a horror-inspired zombies experience, and truthfully, this map made me feel things in a zombies map I haven't felt since some of the World at War maps. I could make a whole video analyzing this map, and I honestly wish they would have just stuck with the formula they had here. I think the game would have been received in a much better light. This map though was a banger for sure. Dead of the Night was super weird in the fact that Treyarch didn't even market the map, they just dropped that shit on a random day and were like, yeah, we've had this planned, but it was, we were just keeping it a secret. The map, to my understanding, is a controversial one, but I really like it. I think the criticisms are valid. The learning curve on this map is probably higher than any other in all of Zombies, and the Easter egg can be a little stupid in terms of the god-awful steps they put in, but I think this map, regardless of those things, really excels in one category, just being fun. The Wonder Weapon is by far one of the greatest, probably top 5 of all time. It's not too hard to obtain, and the abilities of the weapon are insane. I'm not going to go too in-depth about that, but you can just watch the gameplay on screen and you'll see what I mean. I think the variety of enemies is nice, having the vampires and werewolves and stuff. I mean, the whole theme is just really cool. I don't have too much to say about the map, really. I just had a blast trying to high round on this map, and regardless of some of its issues, I think in terms of gameplay as a whole and how fun and unique this map is, it really lands in a good spot for me. I think Classified is an example of a really good remake. I know a lot of people dislike that the Pentagon Thief did not return, but as much as I love the Pentagon Thief, the exclusion of him doesn't necessarily ruin the experience for me. I really love the jazz theme they gave the map. It feels very spy themed, and with a map set in the Pentagon, it feels much more fitting than the normal round change music. It's a lot of fun playing as Ultimus on this map too. After not seeing them for a while, it was really enjoyable to hear their ridiculous quotes again. Regarding the Wonder Weapon, they brought back the Winter's Howl, but they made it so much better. It's not only fun to use, but it's way more powerful. Thank God. The Pack-a-Punch system here is pretty unique because it shares the step from 5 where you have to flip the DEFCON switches, but it also requires you to find parts for a buildable before you can go. Not only is the system unique, but the concept of a Pack-a-Punch being on a previous map was unique. When Pack-a-Punching, you were teleported to Groom Lake, yes, Area 51 from Moon, and that is where Pack-a-Punch resides. I love this feature. It plays to nostalgia a little bit, just as the rest of the map does, and it's really cool for what it is. There are some things preventing this map from being higher though. As fun as the gameplay is, the Easter egg. You ready for this? The Easter egg requires you to reach round 150, and that is the only step. Yep, you heard me right. Round 150. There are no other steps. This is lazy and obviously stupid. Very few Zombies players ended up doing this. It's a shame too, because a proper Easter egg quest would have suited this map so well, and it really would have elevated the experience. Apart from this, the map suffers with the fact that it doesn't exactly do anything new or innovative. Sure, it's fun, but all of the features that make it fun are just recycled things that we've seen before, made slightly better. It's a fun and approachable experience, but nothing that is outstanding. It made it this high because I think the gameplay is truly that fun. Shangri-La from Black Ops 1 is a super underrated map. The baby gun is an absolute blast to use, the Easter egg is easy and fun, and the map provides a healthy challenge for players who are up to it. The special zombie additions with the napalm and the shrieker are welcome and can be used to your advantage with the ways they cause damage. I know people like to complain that Shang is too hard, but honestly it may just be a skill issue on your behalf. The map isn't designed to be easy or just hand things out to the player. It requires the player to actually know the map in order to benefit from it. For example, when the monkeys pick up your power-ups, they cycle through other ones which can really give you an advantage if you time it right and kill them at the power-up you need. Also, let me just say this. Shang has the best loading screen music, by a mile. It fits the map so well and truly feels like an epic experience is about to take place. Visually, the map is stunning and its future version only makes it look, and in my opinion, play better. Liberty Falls was hated on heavily after its reveal at COD Next, but it definitely was not deserved. Sure, compared to Terminus, this map has substantially less in terms of material, but Black Ops 6's gameplay systems, the open and spacious training spots on the map, and the surprisingly tense Easter egg, especially for what is basically a bonus map, really makes this map a very solid experience. I actually had to rewrite this ranking because initially this map was going to be further down due to the issues of intense boss spam. However, Treyarch has thankfully acknowledged this issue, and they fixed it in a patch that made it noticeably better. There's so much to love with Liberty Falls, which is why as of the time I'm recording this video, the community plays it more than any other Black Ops 6 map. Seeing the jet gun return and in a much improved form is wonderful and definitely makes my heart happy. The Easter egg I mentioned before is quick but effective, and when keeping in mind that this map was created mostly to lure in new players, I think it achieves that objective pretty well. The map flows great, looks nice on the eyes, and is full of awesome side Easter eggs. There are a few issues though. They aren't massive, but they definitely stop this from being higher up on the list. I think part of the map's problems are due to the way that it was marketed by Treyarch. Treyarch advertised this map as a full-blown Zombies experience with an important story-driven Easter egg and with as much to offer as Terminus. While it has a rudimentary Easter egg and good gameplay, in reality, Liberty Falls feels more like a bonus map akin to the Giant, and Treyarch set the expectations way too high for the kind of experience this map would be. This unfortunately goes hand in hand with the map's lack of depth, causing me to play it for only one or two purposes. Liberty Falls is a fun, well-rounded experience, but I mostly play it only to grind camos or high round, not because the map is any kind of spectacle that makes me want to return. It's just the easiest map to achieve specific goals, and if it wasn't, I'd personally play it way less, but that doesn't undermine all the map's accomplishments, and it deserves to be this high up on the list regardless. After playing through World at War, Kino der Toten was such a breath of fresh air. Kino was actually supposed to be DLC 4 for World at War, but it was pushed to Black Ops 1 to be a launch map instead. You can tell it takes inspiration from the great mechanics and layout of Der Riese, but playing this map feels so much better on the refined Black Ops 1 engine. The map is simple and offers probably the most iconic training spot in Zombies history, Stage. This is where most people really learned how to train in Zombies. Also, the Easter egg song is probably still the best one there is. 115 is such an absolute fucking banger, and Treyarch needs to start putting some shit like that in upcoming maps. I'm really not sure if there is any better song to kill hordes of the undead to. Anyway, this map does so much right and so little wrong that I couldn't help but put it this high. Maybe I wouldn't play it every day, but every time I do play it, I'm constantly reminded of why it is so inevitably popular. Black Ops 3's version of Shangri-La makes it better in almost every way. This is the first Black Ops 1 map on the list that I feel like actually improved with the release of Zombies Chronicles, and it won't be the last. This map is visually stunning. To this day, even a decade later, there has yet to be a Zombies map that looks even close to as beautiful as the Black Ops 3 version of Shangri-La. I don't feel as though gobblegums are a problem here, particularly because the map already had a ton of perks, pack-a-punch, and ways to manipulate your luck. As previously mentioned, the monkeys can be manipulated with their power-up cycle to give you exactly the one you want, even perks, and with gameplay features inherently designed to give more control to the player, I don't feel like popping an on the house, for example, is nearly as problematic as if you were to do so on a map like Noct. Literally the only con to the Black Ops 3 version is that the Wonder Weapon isn't as good now, as you get caught on the zombies and don't kick them seamlessly, resulting in the ability for them to damage you. I don't experience too much of an issue with that in my games, and since the Ray Gun Mark II is available in this version, I find it to be even less of an issue since there are alternatives. Black Ops 3's weapon selection is far superior to Black Ops 1 and makes playing Shangri-La way more enjoyable. As much as it may be what some call cheating to use gobblegums to get yourself out of potentially sticky situations, just remember that you won't always have the right one at the right time, and I don't mind prolonging the fun and enjoyable challenge that is Shangri-La even more. Oh man, let's see how this goes. Just when I thought the entirety of Vanguard was a lost cause, I was blindsided and shocked when Shi No Numa Reborn was released. This map is by far the best version of Shi No Numa to ever exist. I am not gonna lie, instinctually it feels wrong to put a Vanguard map this high on this list. It really does feel like this is such a high spot for it, but this map succeeds in an area where many of the maps before it don't to the same degree, being insanely fun. With a solid Easter egg, a great rendition of the Wonder WAF, and all of the systems that make the round-based version of Vanguard fun, this version of the map is a welcome surprise that the game desperately needed. There is a little side quest to build the Wonder WAF, which involves things like using traps and defending a machine, allowing for some really fun and traditional zombies experiences. All of the systems, the covenants, and all of the in-game upgrades feel so much better on a smaller map and really enhances the experience, making every game feel like a fresh start. Something this version does that the other versions of Shi No Numa fail to do is incentivize the player to revisit the hut. Vanguard's perk system requires you to revisit them and progressively upgrade them in-game instead of an outside game mechanic, and unlike the other versions of the map where you buy the perks once and leave, this version requires you to go back several times, and the map's design complements the system so well. A pack-a-punch machine was added to this version of the map, but in a new area, extending the map and connecting two of the huts with an area in the middle. This area is fantastic. It's actually one of the best training spots in all of Zombies and is the center of a really solid Easter egg. I find this map super fun to high round, and truthfully, I just love it. The experience is so solid and well-rounded, I actually don't believe I have a single bad thing to say about it besides the fact that it's surrounded by other awful maps in the game. The Giant is the best version of Der Riese. I love the storytelling the original has, but the Giant really took the community by surprise with that intro cutscene where Richtofen shot his older self. I view it as an entirely different experience to Der Riese. I can't really explain why, but it just feels different. The map is beautiful, and I really can't say much about it besides that it is a super solid and highly enjoyable experience. Shadows of Evil was super hardcore, while the Giant makes for a relaxed and fulfilling zombies killing experience. That juxtaposition worked really well for Black Ops 3 at launch, even though the map was a pre-order bonus. The Giant had some really cool side quests like the Origins robot quest where you throw a monkey bomb into each teleporter, resulting in the Origins robot shooting a laser beam on some snow to reveal a perk under it. The technical Easter egg quest is just the same hide and seek quest from the original, and now it gives you the Annihilator. The Giant takes all that was good about Der Riese and just adds to the flair of Black Ops 3's fun mechanics. The Black Ops 3 version of Ascension fixes the only problem I have with the map. The use of gobblegums like Dead of Nuclear Winter make the annoying monkey mechanic avoidable and actually makes an important use of Black Ops 3's slightly broken mechanics. This, in my opinion, allows for a more enjoyable experience where I'm not stressing the entire time about losing my perks. Everything that is good about the map from Black Ops 1 still applies. Yeah, it doesn't have PhD, but it doesn't really matter because Widow's Wine and the Ray Gun Mark II is on the map. D Machine was a fantastic launch map and a phenomenal way to introduce the new systems with the release of Cold War. There's a lot to love here. Initially, it can seem like this map is just another reskin as the surface has the Noct building, but as you venture deeper into the experience, you discover the sinister laboratory underneath and uncover some truly grappling narrative ideas. Although the map has Noct in it, it feels nothing like it, and is actually a cool way to expand on something the community is familiar with. The DIE Shockwave is a really interesting and powerful wonder weapon. It has 4 elemental variants that truly are all really easy and straightforward to get, but I like that about them, especially when you consider the way it fits in with the Easter egg, because I never truly liked Easter eggs where the majority of it was just getting the wonder weapon. That isn't me saying there aren't good Easter eggs where that's the case, but I much prefer an Easter egg where there are steps beyond just taking the player forever to build and upgrade a weapon, and this Easter egg really excels in that regard. A lot of the narrative is learned within these steps of the main quest, and it's actually really interesting. The high round strategy on this map, while it encourages camping, is really fun, and I like that super high rounds are an attainable thing in this experience. The Megaton is a challenging boss zombie that, just when you think you've defeated it, splits into 2 and attacks slightly differently, which I think is rather creative and something we haven't really experienced up to that point. All in all, this map is a well-crafted experience that deserves a spot higher up on the list, and although it was different, it gave the community hope for what was to come in the future. The Tomb is a great map in isolation, which is why it is ranked this high. I know it has 3 glaring issues, which I will actually talk about first. 1, there is no intro cutscene, and the main cast says no words in the end cutscene because Activision refused to give them AI protections, so the voice actors went on strike. And 2, the map suffers from a bit of an identity crisis. There are some references to Origins here with some music from the Origins soundtrack playing and the ice staff being on the map, but there is absolutely no explanation for why or how, which is extremely disappointing. Third, the narrative had so much of an opportunity to be great, focusing on the history of a great explorer making remarkable discoveries in this dig site, but most of it was just spoken about in the blog post, and the steps of the Easter egg itself do absolutely nothing to push the map forward narratively. They actually reveal literally nothing about the story of the map. However, from a gameplay and content standpoint alone, this map excels. The map design is gorgeous. For once, the areas feel truly unique, and there's a sense of mystery and wonder buried in the catacombs we explore. The layout is similar to Revelations, where there is a central hub and 4 teleporters that transport the player to other areas of the map. The design is simple, easy to understand, and flows great. Unlike Citadel, the Tomb actually has a detailed, fun, and challenging wonder weapon quest that I actually fail often, and this is a good thing. Getting a weapon so powerful should not be without significant risk, or else it doesn't feel as rewarding to obtain and completely ruins any value given to it. While it does suck that the boss enemies are all reused, they aren't so bad functionally, as the traps and wonder weapons on the map make them laughably easy to take out. The Easter egg quest itself is simple enough to memorize with a boss fight that is very challenging. I don't understand the criticisms of this quest besides the narrative aspect. From a gameplay perspective, it is a good quest. Yes, it's easy and goes fast after upgrading the ice staff, but there's nothing wrong with that, especially when the boss fight is as challenging as it is, even though it would have been miles better if it was more story focused. It took me about 4 to 5 tries before I actually beat the boss fight. I had to look up tips on how to beat it. That is a sign of a good boss fight. It shouldn't be easy, and you absolutely should fail. A good boss fight makes you rethink your approach and do so from various angles. I also do not mind at all that the boss is the Sentinel artifact. It's literally one of the most powerful artifacts known in Zombies mythos, and our main crew is trying to take it. I'm not surprised that we have to prove our worth before wielding it. Also, this map has some of the most rewarding side quests in the entire game. While I believe Terminus may have more, the Tomb has a side quest where you do an extremely challenging blood ritual, but as a reward you get free gold and armor that automatically repairs itself. There's a side quest in the Dark Ether Nexus where you shoot these rocks in the sky and it gives you a free tier 1 pack-a-punch and a free cryo freeze ammo mod. There's another one where you can shoot 2 waterfalls and get a free ether tool, and its rarity depends on the round you're on. This map is so rewarding and just overall fun in so many ways that I personally love it for high rounds and just generally killing zombies, but it really suffers from a lack of depth. Raven the Redwoods is a really good map. The Easter egg is phenomenal, it strikes a perfect difficulty balance, and the gameplay of the map is just great. The different crossbows as the wonder weapons are so cool and really powerful. None of them are too challenging to build, and they feel even more rewarding to use. The boss fight is challenging but not too hard, and I think it was, besides Mephistopheles, the best boss fight Infinite Warfare had to offer. The setting and aura of the map is perfect. The middle of the woods, camping, cabin, rave kind of vibe is something that was extremely unique to see in Zombies and something we haven't seen since. The rave mode where you throw the pouch into the fire is a really interesting mechanic, and the way it changes some aspects of the environment visually is really cool and shows how much the dev team really leaned into their vision. The slasher is terrifying, and although not too challenging to kill, still feels like a real threat and does an immense amount of damage to the player. He is perfect as a boss zombie. Kevin Smith is really cool as a cameo and is really involved in the Easter egg, especially since he is the boss. I personally probably wouldn't play this map casually. I feel like this map really excels in its Easter egg, and if I play it, it's going to be to acknowledge how much Infinity Ward hit the ball out of the park with this map. It's a super underrated one. Reckoning is a map that is probably one of the most divisive in the community. I think I'm definitely in the minority with my views on the map, but this map did a lot of things that I actually really enjoy. I find that I have more positives about this map than negatives. Starting with the negatives, I know a lot of people are upset about the ending, and in some ways I agree and disagree. I do agree that bringing back the original crew is a little bit of a stab in the back to long-term Zombies fans. Even though it could have been executed better, the way this story wraps up in Tag der Toten is actually very bittersweet in a way that I have grown to appreciate more and more. And I do understand people being upset that all of that will now have less weight because the characters are back and their sacrifice basically meant nothing at this point. I agree that in terms of bringing the old crew into this game, they absolutely dropped the ball story-wise. Not to mention, Takio's voice actor, Tom Kane, can't voice Takio anymore, making it an extremely delicate situation. If they don't respect the character properly, I can see people being very upset about this, and I hope they at least spoke to Tom Kane to get his opinion before deciding to just move along with this. The only other negatives I have with the map is that the wonder weapon is god-awful in terms of damage. The design is sick, but the damage needs a massive buff. And lastly, it's kinda disgusting that there was a side quest to unlock the Ether Blade, but it was locked behind a dumbass event to unlock Mr. Peaks. Really, Treyarch? Okay, so I know it probably seems like I've been shitting on this map hard, but now let me go over the list of things that I thoroughly enjoy about the map. First off, the layout. It is confusing to learn at first, but once you master it, you realize that you can get anywhere you want in the map in 15 seconds or less. They seriously did a good job at making all of the areas interconnected and sensible. Next up, the story as it pertains to Black Ops 6. Even though the old crew coming back was lame, we got a lot of really cool narrative bits in regard to Project Janus, the main crew of Black Ops 6, and just a lot of loose ends that were tied up nicely. It's interesting to hear about Sam, as in the AI, and the ways Richtofen abused her and almost made something too sentient and didn't give it the freedom it needed. On my initial playthrough, I thought siding with Richtofen was the obvious answer, but after listening to the radios, it really showed me how much of a crazed lunatic Richtofen can be and the ridiculous lengths he'll go to achieve his goals. If you haven't listened to the radios on the map, I highly recommend it. And lastly, I do really love the main quest. For the most part, it's intuitive, unique, and it hosts 2 unique boss fights and ending cutscenes for the first time in Zombies history. I like that Richtofen is significantly harder to beat than Sam, even though it does sometimes feel unfair. The main quest and what it brought to the table really excited me, and I hope Treyarch implements some of these things again going forward. Oh, also, Uberklaus is probably the best elite enemy in the game. He feels like a real threat, which is something that this game lacks at times. Zetsubo no Shima is often seen as a bad map, and while I think it's the worst of the DLC maps, I don't think the map is bad whatsoever. This map is so extremely unique in a variety of ways between the spores, the plants, the Skull of Non-Sopway, the Thrasher. There's so much about the map that regardless of your opinion on it, you have to admit that the map is full of content and variety in terms of gameplay experiences. Sure, I do often hate the randomness of the planting system, but there are ways to use the plants to your advantage, whether it's eating zombies or providing a clone of yourself with only what you had in that moment to respawn with after you die. There's so many ways to spice up the match using the plants. The KT-4 is a spectacular wonder weapon, truly one of my favorites. It's powerful and a blast to use. The Easter egg is a fun time. Fighting Takio is pretty easy in terms of boss fights, but the Thrashers and Spiders keep the boss fight entertaining enough to still sometimes present a mild challenge. Overall, I suppose my point is that I understand the criticisms regarding Zetsubo. However, I find beauty and wonder in the way this map is able to, probably more than any other map, provide a unique and surprising experience every single time. I'm honestly not sure where I heard this from. It could have been another zombies YouTuber, but I once heard someone describe Buried as the ultimate sandbox experience, and that is exactly what Buried is. I have so many good things to say about this map. Firstly, the chalk drawings are so fun and unique. It's a shame that Buried was the only map to have this feature. On this map, all of the wall buys are blank, and it's up to the player to draw the chalk onto the wall for whichever weapon they want there, and doing so will reward the player with points. This is an amazing idea for 2 reasons. 1, it rewards the player with points so they can set up quicker if they are able to be efficient with how many they can draw, and 2, the player is able to strategize their placement so their playstyle can cater to them. What an amazing concept that makes the map so replayable. Next, the map added 2 wonder weapons, the Ray Gun Mark II and the Paralyzer. The Ray Gun Mark II quickly became an iconic weapon in Zombies and is super fun to use. It's more powerful than the original ray gun, has no splash damage, immediately making it the superior choice. The Paralyzer is unique because it's great at killing but kills very slowly, and you need to be smart when using it because it overheats and needs to cool down with constant use, but I wouldn't say that killing is its main purpose. The Paralyzer allows the player to essentially levitate when shot at the ground, and this is extremely useful. In the maze when going to Pack-a-Punch, the Paralyzer becomes an asset by allowing the player to just fly over the maze. This is also true for barricades that need to be opened by Leroy. Oh, speaking of Leroy, whose actual name is Arthur but the zombies community has deemed him to be Leroy, he is the best NPC companion ever. Basically, he's a raging alcoholic, and when you give him booze, he'll turn around and throw his body into a barricade, allowing you to access cool parts of the map. This action also rewards the player with points, and the points will increase proportionately with the amount of distance between Leroy and the barricade when you give him the booze. Leroy can also do a bunch of other shit like lock the box to one location, kill zombies for you, hold zombies for you. Literally, sometimes he just picks them up and holds them. He's just an amazing asset to the map. Another cool thing is the perk they added called Vulture Raid. This is the only map besides the Black Ops 6 maps where Vulture Raid has been seen on, and basically what it does is, well, a lot. It drops small amounts of points and ammo from zombies when killed that the player can pick up. It sometimes generates green mist from killed zombies that acts like a zombie blood when the player stands in it, and it allows players to see things like perks, Pack-a-Punch, and the mystery box through the walls. Super useful perk. I have no idea why it never came back until Black Ops 6. I could talk about Buried all day, but one last thing. The Witch's House is an awesome idea and implemented beautifully. It has the best risk to reward nature in zombies that I have ever seen. If the witches get too close to you, they can take a lot of points from you, but if you stick around and kill all the witches that spawn into the house, you are rewarded with a free perk. Like I said, best risk to reward nature I've ever seen. The only, and I mean only, issue I have with Buried is that the Victus crew is miserable. Revelations is an epic map that is packed full with content. It may be super easy, but it is definitely fun. Visually, Revelations is the most stunning zombies map by a fucking mile. The sheer scale and stakes of the map really make the player invested. The players are given both the Thundergun and the Apothecant Servant, which is obviously a super overpowered combo, but you know what? This map was fan service at its peak. It combines areas from several zombies classics, and let me tell you, the first time I played it, I had never felt such nostalgia in my life. The masks are really cool, they provide for a good challenge and rewards the player with some really powerful advantages. It brought back the Dragon Shield, which in my opinion is the best shield variant. I really don't have much to say about Revelations. It's an all-around solid experience, but it unfortunately couldn't be higher for two reasons. First, because although the Easter egg ending was one we needed, and even though I actually enjoy the way zombies ended, I can't help but say that the ending to Revelations as a map felt very disappointing. The energy from the community had never topped the way it was when Revelations came out, and the story led up to the map in such a crazy way just for them to be like, yeah, back to the beginning, you nerds. My second reason it can't go higher is because even though Revelations is the epitome of fan service, it struggles to find a real identity on its own. It relies on systems stolen from the maps prior and results in a map with lackluster personality and an Easter egg that is convoluted at the least. Call of the Dead is a map I never enjoyed previously, but since playing it for this video, I have come to realize that Call of the Dead is a work of art. I think the reason I and many others can't get into the map is because the honest truth is that the barrier to entry is very large. The map is very challenging, so much so that the round 100 for the map was only beaten last year. The map has 0 traps, wonder weapons that fall off quicker than almost any other in the series, one of them doesn't even kill, George Romero follows you around the entire time, and the map is full of environmental obstacles. This made me originally dislike the map, but once you play it and really learn about its gameplay systems, the map does a lot of things right, so much so that I think this map balances its risk to reward ratio better than any other. Yes, George is annoying, but you can kill him to get him away temporarily. This is risky because he gets mad when damaged and runs at the player, but a skilled player can avoid this by getting to water, and the reward for killing him is a free perk and a death machine, or Wonder Waff depending on if you've completed the Easter egg of that game. So yes, he is an obstacle to the player, but he can also play to your benefit. This leads me to environmental hazards, the water. Yes, the water can slow you down and freeze you, but zombies also move slower in the water and it calms George down, making it a safer place in some sense too. Not to mention, if the zombies stay in the water long enough, they can actually freeze too, which may help if you're skilled enough to make it happen. Although the map doesn't have traps, one of the wonder weapons actually turns a zombie into a human and makes them act like a monkey bomb, attracting the zombies. So while you don't have tools to help you kill in high rounds, you have a tool that can allow you to take a breather with more ammunition than just having 3 monkey bombs. I know and understand that these things may not be enough to get you to like the map, and it wasn't for me for a long time either. This ranking is very personal, and honestly, you have to be a very specific kind of player to like Call of the Dead. It is challenging, it makes you play different, and it's not too fantastical in any way. In order to like it, you have to be the kind of zombies player that can enjoy constant problem solving instead of the ability to just absolutely decimate the hordes. Personally, I'm a little of both. Call of the Dead isn't a map I play often, but I love it for the unique experience it provides. Mauer der Toten showed the community that if Treyarch really wanted to, they can still make a fantastic map. I have almost no negatives. I'm going to speak strictly positive about this map. Mauer is a great diversion from the issues that plagued Cold War zombies, like the map not being a generic military base again, a good Easter egg with a challenging boss fight, a great layout, and a fantastic wonder weapon with multiple variations. If I go back to play Cold War, 9 times out of 10 this is what I'm playing. I just want to talk about the biggest and most obvious highlight of this map for a second, the Cerberus. This wonder weapon is so unique and the way it works has never been replicated. So the base wonder weapon is an energy pistol that has this ball floating around it, and the ball will actually mimic your shots and shoot an additional bullet, which is really cool and part of the reason many people consider this variant to be the best, just because it does so much damage. There are 3 variants, but the thing that's interesting about it is that you don't have to craft them. Zombies drop these variants on the ground and you can pick them up like loot drops, and the way you're supposed to use this weapon is to constantly cycle through all of its variants. There's one that's kind of like a shotgun, one that shoots a straight continuous laser beam, and one that shoots homing missiles at the zombies. All of them are useful in different scenarios, and I love that it just gives players such a variety of ways to play. Zombies in Spaceland is so peak, but at the same time it's also a little niche. I know this map appears in a lot of people's top 10s, but even though I can acknowledge its greatness, I just prefer a bit of a more serious zombies experience. With that being said, Zombies in Spaceland is the epitome of what Infinite Warfare Zombies was trying to be. A classic zombies mode that doesn't take itself too seriously and explores some wacky fun concepts while still being engaging. This map takes place in an amusement park, full of rideable rides, a ticket system to unlock new items, a fully functional arcade, yes that means you can play the games, and last but not least, David Hasselhoff as the DJ. This map is just genuine fun. The 4 variations of the wonder weapon are all spectacular in their own way, and this map boasts a simple yet challenging Easter egg with one of the coolest boss fights in Zombies history. You literally fight an alien with a laser gun who came down from a UFO, and the fight is tough. This map is just borderline perfect. I'm sure many of you are not going to be happy to see Blood of the Dead this high, but if you haven't played the map since launch, please go back and give it another chance. I know, at launch the Easter egg was buggy and the steps seem nonsensical, but there are plenty of updated guides out there with correct steps and the bugs are all gone from what I can tell. Blood of the Dead has, in my opinion, the best story content in the entire franchise. It's an emotional and intense journey as our beloved crew struggle to find a way out of the hellscape they've become trapped in, ultimately concluding with the best ending cutscene in the franchise. I actually nearly cried when I watched this cutscene for the first time. I won't get too into it, but if you know the storyline in Zombies, you know the impact of this moment on the story and the events that it set in motion. It truly is beautiful. In terms of gameplay, the map did fumble the ball a little bit with the removal of the Golden Gate Bridge, but we did get a new wonder weapon, the Magma Gat, and it's honestly my favorite version of the Blunder Gat. It attracts zombies and kills for a while, and I just enjoy using it a lot. Even though the gameplay isn't all too remarkable, the story content in the game is just so overwhelmingly powerful that it had to be this high up on my list. The Black Ops 3 version of Moon literally fixed every single issue I had with the map in Black Ops 1 due to it being one of the 2 Chronicles maps where I think the addition of the Gobblegums actually improves the experience of this map. First off, this map got a massive graphical upgrade when ported over to Black Ops 3. It looks substantially better. Secondly, Gobblegums like Shopping Free and Immolation Liquidation help to ease the pain of the RNG and make it kind of a non-issue. Also, yes, while it is technically true that if you have a Gersh device and jump into it, you can theoretically teleport to the opposite side of the tunnels if you get trapped and spawn from the excavators in Black Ops 1, that is literally your only chance to bypass that issue. In Black Ops 3, you have Gobblegums like Anywhere But Here, which can give you more opportunities to resolve this problem. Overall, the Black Ops 3 version feels like the ultimate polished version of Moon, and honestly, it would have played better if it were just originally released in Black Ops 3. I'm so tired of people saying that Citadel is a bad or disappointing zombies experience. They're literally lying for no reason whatsoever. This map checks all the boxes for me. Cool lore, awesome 4 elemental wonder weapons, good layout, good atmosphere, great Easter egg, and phenomenal boss fight, and multiple good high round strategies that are unique. I know everybody likes to say that mutant injections are the only valid high round strategy, but on this map, you can do that or utilize the oil trap this map offers combined with Molotovs. People complain about the map, but I honestly just can't comprehend their complaints unless it's just yet another gripe with Black Ops 6's core mechanics, which I get aren't for everybody, but I think they're fun in their own way. This map is great. I just want to give another example. You can literally camp with the swords as well, and the swords are good enough to high round with. This map is phenomenal. Shout out to the Guardian for being one of the best boss fights of all time. 9 is all about atmosphere. This map takes the ancient Colosseum aesthetic and absolutely commits to it 100%. The music in this map is some of the best out of any zombies map. The Easter egg steps are a little nonsensical at times, but it does lead to one of the most epic boss fights ever. You fight 2 big zombie elephants. It is pretty easy to cheese, as is many things in games, but it doesn't take away from the pure spectacle of the fight sequence. Truthfully, the biggest reason I like it is because of the aforementioned reasons. It isn't any higher because the wonder weapon is kind of trash, it falls off pretty fast, and is just generally pretty weak. It is a shame that this map couldn't get into the top 10, but we're about to be there, so thanks for sticking around. Well, here we go. Looks like we made it to the top 10. At number 10, we have Tag der Toten. I know this will shock a lot of you, but Tag der Toten is a genuinely amazing map. Sure, the wonder weapons may be half reused, but this map has many wonder weapons and they're all relatively fun to use. The layout is masterfully crafted, especially once you understand where every zipline and jump pad go. It's possible to get anywhere in the map in no time. Honestly, the thing that I enjoy about this map the most is the Easter egg. This map has to be the most story-dense map in all of COD Zombies. Between all the radios tying up loose ends, the ending cutscene where our characters must perish to save the multiverse, and the very end bit where you as the player must physically walk Sam and Eddie to a new beginning, which would be the Cold War story. It's just beautiful and emotional. Terminus was a beyond pleasant surprise when Black Ops 6 launched. Terminus is a dark, gritty map set on an island in the Pacific. Specifically, the prison our main crew has spent years locked up in after Richtofen's sinister betrayal in the name of Project Janus. The music is great, the atmosphere is great, the wonder weapon is great, the Easter egg is great, this map really has it all. The Beam Smasher is a weapon that isn't too OP but can highly benefit a player skilled enough to utilize both of its firing modes. The Easter egg is a phenomenal adventure that features a mid-egg cutscene, utilizes the boat to traverse the map, and has one of the best boss fights, if not the best, in all of Zombies. This map features many side Easter eggs from playing whack-a-mole with crabs to a speedboat race. Like I said, this map has it all. It's such a treat to play. As great as Terminus is though, it is not the best map in Black Ops 6 Zombies. Shattered Veil was probably the biggest surprise of the Black Ops 6 season and was a map that showed that Treyarch still had the ability to make an experience that feels classic and adventurous. This map clearly took inspiration from some Chaos maps and it does not disappoint. For the first time in almost a decade, Double Tap returned as a perk and oh my god did this game need it. The Easter egg involves the player using the Mark II variants to unlock liminal spaces that are hidden within paintings and uncovering the disturbing stories behind the mansion's previous owners. The Mark II upgrades are fantastic, and no, I don't care that 2 of them are reused. The Easter egg culminates in a contender for the best boss fight of all time. You fight against a zombie T-Rex called Z-Rex, and let me tell you, this fight was hard. Not unfair, but I died several times, probably more than the Tombs boss fight before I could successfully beat it. This is by far my favorite map in the game and one of my favorites of all time. Ancient Evil is just one of those maps where you play it for the first time and you have to sit there for like 15 minutes afterwards to process what you just played, but I mean this in the best way possible. I don't know that there is another map in the entirety of COD Zombies that has as much aura as this map has. This map takes place in Greece in the underground city of Delphi and is highly based off of Greek mythology, and you can see that just poured everywhere around the map. This map is insane. This map features fantastic and creative 4 elemental wonder weapons that you wear on your hand, and all of their effects are really unique. This map has one of the best boss fights in the entirety of COD Zombies. Just hear me out for a second. For the boss fight, okay, you ride Pegasus, as in the horse that flies, to Mount Olympus to fight Perseus. Doesn't that sound fucking insane? This map by a mile is the best map in Black Ops 4, and it truly deserves to be up here with the greatest of all time. Anybody who says otherwise is just completely making that up. Gorod Krovi is set in an alternate timeline where World War II did not end because the Nazis were able to use Element 115 to further advance the war with advanced weaponry and other means of combat. And as a result, you're playing in a war-torn version of Stalingrad that has mech suits and robots and dragons. It's kind of ridiculous. Don't you notice though that so many of these maps that are this high up on the list just excel in having really interesting plots and narratives and settings, and they just do a really good job at making zombies serious but also fantastical at the same time with unique ideas? It would be an oversimplification to say that this map did a lot for zombies, not just by things that it introduced, but also things that it brought back. This map had a Ray Gun Mark III, which you can see in the gameplay. It's not called the Ray Gun Mark III, but the community kind of just deemed that it was. It has two different fire modes. The left one shoots this white sphere that slows zombies down, but you can shoot it with the right gun to kind of make a black hole that kind of eviscerates the zombies, to be honest. This map also saw the return of the PPSH. It had the Gauntlet of Siegfried, which was maybe the best specialist weapon we've ever had. It introduced the Dragon Shield before it was reused, and the Dragon Shield, as I previously have said, is the best shield that I think we've ever had in COD Zombies. And the Easter egg is just absolutely fantastic. It strikes a really good balance of steps that aren't too difficult with steps that are kind of insanely difficult and scary. For example, the bomb step. Yeah, there's this step where the player has to go around and press buttons in a certain order, and the order is shown to you on a screen really fast beforehand, and you have to kind of memorize it. If you press the wrong button or don't get to the button in time, the map kind of just blows up and everybody dies and the game ends unless you're outside. Not only that, but this map also culminates in one of the best boss fights in all of COD Zombies. You fight Ultimus Nikolai in a mech suit, and after you defeat him, there's a really emotional cutscene where Nikolai speaks a little bit about his past, and then Primus Nikolai needs to take the life of Ultimus Nikolai in order to, as Richthofen thinks, save the universe. This map is emotional. This map has a ton of depth, and as long as you're willing to go on the fantastical journey that this map presents, you're going to find a lot of beauty in its presentation. Mob of the Dead is one of the most terrifying maps I've ever played, and I say that with my full chest. The music, terrifying. The setting, being on Alcatraz Island inside of the actual prison with probably the most gruesome and terrible living conditions ever in the US prison system, terrifying. The bleak atmosphere with a dark sky and bodies hanging that are wrapped up in the prison, terrifying. But with that being said, this is why I love this map. This map also features a very good wonder weapon, the Blundergat, which can be upgraded to the Acid Gat, and it has a monkey bomb sort of effect where when you shoot it, the zombies gravitate towards it, and it makes high rounding on this map really fun and enjoyable, especially when you pair it with the acid trap in the cafeteria. It is really a lot of fun. Story-wise, this map is awesome because it's based off a real story about 4 mobsters who tried to escape the prison and may or may not have failed. We don't really know. We think they failed, but instead of doing it by boat, they'd try to do it by plane in this map. The zombies part wasn't actually based on a real story, but I think that goes without saying. The only thing holding this map back, and it's really a shame because this probably would be my favorite map of all time if it had a real Easter egg. This was Blundell's first map, so he didn't really get to the whole big grand Easter egg thing yet. So the Easter egg on this map is just flying to Pack-a-Punch 3 times, picking up some headphones that give you some radios about story for the map, and then if you're playing co-op, you go on and fight each other, and the goal is to either kill the weasel or have the weasel kill you. Otherwise, I love this map, and I think it's perfect in almost every way. Origins is the quintessential zombies experience, and everybody feels this way. If you don't, you're part of the very, very small minority of people who don't think that. This map was the pioneer of so many things that we love today in zombies, whether it be trials, whether it be 4 elemental wonder weapons, whether it be truly, truly fantastical settings that really, really push the bounds of what zombies can be, to the vast amount of side Easter eggs that we have now. This map had really the first big, major main quest of all time. And this map changed the zombie storyline forever, for better or for worse. I think for better. I don't want to say too much about this map because I think it's been beaten to death a million times, but I just want to say, I remember playing this map for the first time and seeing the 100-foot tall robots just walking around, and I just remember being in complete awe that this map could run on the Xbox 360. It was absolutely insane for its time. This map deserves all the credit that it gets, and that's really all I have to say. These last 3 maps were really, really hard for me to place. Honestly, I feel similarly about all of them. All 3 of them, I would say, are my favorite maps of all time, so I had to think about this a little bit more logistically, and I will explain everything that I think makes these maps better than the others. But at third, we have Shadows of Evil. There is nothing that I could say about this map that hasn't already been said. This map is literally perfect in 99.9% of ways. This map probably has the best atmosphere in all of zombies. This is where Jason Blundell just said, I'm going to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And I remember people disliking this when it first came out. People were like, oh my god, why are there tentacle monsters in my zombies map? But alright, buddy, listen. Is it really that far-fetched? You're playing a game where you kill zombies that has weapons that come out of the walls, weapons that spin in a box, and you drink these drinks that give you special power-ups? Like, come on, bro. The storyline with these characters who are kind of trapped in this hellscape to kind of pay for their sins, in a sense, it's really, really interesting. And the fact that they're cursed by the mark of the beast and then they can turn into these tentacle monsters that kind of act like the afterlife mode, it's just a really interesting concept in my opinion. And oh my god, is the wonder weapon they introduced actually the most overpowered wonder weapon in all of zombies? This is a good thing in my opinion because they kind of restricted the amount of ammo that this weapon has. So even though it is very, very overpowered, you don't have that much to work with in terms of ammo. The little Arnies are awesome. The sword specialist is awesome. The civil protector is awesome. There's really nothing that is bad about this map. The only thing that makes it worse than the next 2 ever so slightly, there is a boss fight, but it's barely a boss fight. It is so ridiculously easy to the point where it's like, there might as well not even be a boss fight. And especially because the Shadow Man ended up being the big bad of the game, it would have been really cool if they gave us like a really intense and challenging boss fight right off the rip. Nonetheless, this map is an absolute work of art. It's a masterpiece. The Cthulhu references are awesome. The atmosphere, once again, is awesome. There is literally nothing genuinely bad about this map. It is one of the most perfect maps ever made. Holy shit, and I almost forgot. The music on this map, by a mile, by a light year, bro. This map has the best music in the entire franchise. Hands down, no debate about it. If you disagree, unsubscribe. Origins was already one of my favorite zombies map for obvious reasons, but when it was re-released in Black Ops 3, I fell in love with it all over again. It had a massive graphical upgrade, which was so nice. The stabs look so good. I think the systems in Black Ops 3 work better with Origins. I think Gobblegums legitimately make it feel better. To me, Origins always felt like a Black Ops 3 map, obviously retrospectively after Black Ops 3 came out, but Origins felt like it would just belong in that game so much better. And after it was released in Black Ops 3, it really, really showed me that I was right about that. It looks amazing, it feels amazing, and everything that I said earlier that I love about Origins still applies. The map itself didn't change at all, it just got better. Origins has so much depth and nuance to it. It's really an experience that you just have to have for yourself in order to truly understand what a masterpiece this map is. The only reason that it is not number one is because Origins has no real boss fight. Origins ends with you in the crazy place and you kind of just get locked there and stay alive for some time and then take out the Maxis drone. That's it. And while it is fun and can get a little hectic at times, I don't think it's as good of an experience as having a real boss fight. With that being said, let me show you what my number one pick is, my favorite zombies map of all time. That's right, Der Eisendrache is my favorite zombies map of all time. This is number one. Der Eisendrache does everything that Origins does really well without some of the drawbacks. Origins can get a little irritating with the mud. Der Eisendrache fixes that problem. Origins has no real boss fight. Der Eisendrache has a real boss fight. Origins ending cutscene is a little bit underwhelming, and even though it makes sense now, at the time people were just confused and underwhelmed. Der Eisendrache has a very, very good and emotional ending cutscene that people remember and can honestly quote to this day. Der Eisendrache features 4 elemental bows, all of which are really, really good. It has the Ragnaroks as the specialist weapon. The low gravity room down by the pyramid is absolutely awesome. The rocket test is absolutely awesome. The gondola is a great feature where you can get specific things and potentially get really lucky if you go back to the gondola repeatedly. The story of this map is just so rich and dense between the conversations between Richtofen and Dr. Groff, the time traveling that happens several times, the story behind the castle's past. This map, I feel so secure about being at my number one because this is the only map in all of Call of Duty Zombies, the one and only map that I cannot name a single bad thing about. No matter how hard I try, I cannot think of a single flaw that this map has. This map is literally the perfect zombies map. I feel like this map was Treyarch's lightning in a bottle and they've never really been able to replicate it since. And I'm sorry if this is disappointing to you. I know that you've probably seen Der Eisendrache at the top of so many zombies ranking videos, but Der Eisendrache is this high for a reason. You have to give credit where credit is due. And I just want to say a funny thing that I remember about this map. This map was actually the first map ever to have a boss fight, which you also have to give it credit for. But I remember when people found out that there was a wipe attack in the boss fight, and I remember figuring it out for the first time as well. It was pretty sad getting up to the boss fight and then just being absolutely decimated by the gigantic keeper. But yeah, that is it. That is my entire Call of Duty Zombies map ranking. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I know this video is almost 2 hours long, so if you made it this far, you must be an absolute diehard Zombies fan. But I hope to see you guys again soon. I will make a video soon after this. I might need a little bit of a break, but there will be another one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. Peace out.